Wayne Thiebaud was born November 15th, 1920 in Mesa, Arizona. While he was still in high school, he started working for the Walt Disney Studios. He was what is known as an in-betweener, who sketched the stills between the main movements of the characters. He worked on Goofy, Pinocchio, and Jiminy Cricket. After high school, he worked illustrating moving posters, painting and lettering signs, and sometimes selling his cartoons. During World War II, he joined the Air Force and wanted to become a pilot. However, he became an army artist instead. During this time, he developed a cartoon strip called Alex for the newspaper, designed posters, and painted murals. After the war was over, he continued working as a cartoonist and commercial artist. In 1949, he left his job to go back to school so that he could receive a degree and teach art. He taught art for over 40 years. He had his students draw the same shape over and over again, sometimes for weeks at a time. He did this because as he saw his work, he saw it as geometric shapes. He explained, when you think about it, a slice of pie is just a triangle. Cakes are circles. I'm interested in very basic shapes, circles, triangles, half circles, rectangles. Wayne usually drew from memory, giving his work a dreamlike quality. He also used a lot of strong shadows on his subjects. After drawing everyday objects, he started to expand his art to people. To practice, he would draw himself every morning while looking in the mirror. He also later began painting landscapes. Today we are going to paint sweet treats similar to Wayne Thiebaud and learn how to mix colors. What happens when we mix our primary colors of red, yellow, and blue? That's how we make all other colors. And today we're going to practice with our paints, and these paints are a semi-moist tempera paint, and they're in these little cakes, and they're a lot like watercolors. So we're going to take our brush, get it a little bit wet, and then take a little bit the extra off because we don't need a lot of water. And we're just going to follow these worksheets to make our secondary colors. So this first circle says red, so I'm going to put it in my red paint, and I'm just going to paint my circle red. Now since we're mixing colors, we're going to be using both red and yellow, so I'm going to also paint my last square. There. Now I'm going to rinse my brush off before I go to my next color. And my next color, it says, is yellow. So I'm going to get some yellow paint, and I'm just going to practice painting in my circle so I can get an idea of how these paints work before I work on my project. Now, red and yellow together will make orange. So let's see what happens when we put our yellow paint in there. There wasn't a lot of yellow in there, so I'm going to rinse my brush and pull a little bit more yellow, and it will turn into a brighter orange. So depending on how much yellow or red you use will depend on the color of your orange. So now our next color that we're going to make is green, and you make that by mixing blue and yellow. So I'm going to take my primary color of blue, and I'm going to put it here, my first circle, put some in my mixing circle to make our secondary color, rinse my brush because I'm going to a new color, and see how my water is getting dirty already. That's okay. We can still use it. I'm going to get some yellow. I'm going to get a little bit more yellow, and I'm going to put my yellow down. And then I'm going to put my yellow and my blue, and you can see how it is mixing to make green. Now I'm going to rinse my brush really well again. Just take it for a few spins of the tub here, and I'm going to brush the extra off. Now this next one, to make violet, it says I need red. I'm going to get my red paint, paint my circle, put some red in my mixing circle, take my brush for a swim, do a few laps in the water, get the extra off, and go in and get my blue paint. Put my blue down, and then go to my red where it's going to mix. Now, that red dried a little bit. You can see it's a little bit purple, but if we want it to be a little bit lighter maybe, we can add a little bit more red and see what happens. And just spread it out a little bit and you get a different, slightly different purple. So you can use this sheet to kind of test your colors before you paint your project today. We are going to draw our sweet treat and paint our sweet treat on this piece of paper, which has a space at the top for your name, your first name, your last name, and your grade and your teacher's name. So make sure that gets filled out in blue or black ink. And we are going to make sure that we only draw below the line. Draw and paint below the line. So today we're going to draw a cupcake. And you can either draw a cupcake yourself, or you can use, there's going to be some little templates that you're going to have in your tub that you can use. So I'm going to put my cupcake base about right there. And I'm going to trace it with my Sharpie. I'm just going to trace around it, making sure that it does not move as I trace around it, and make my little peaks here for my cupcake top. And just keep tracing my cupcake liner, and then I can pull that away and fill in any spots that I might have missed there. Now we're going to draw our big fluffy frosting on our cupcake. But first, we want to maybe have a cherry on top of ours. So I'm going to draw my little cherry up here like that. So, because it's going to be sitting on top of my frosting. So I'm going to draw my big frosting, kind of a big, kind of pillowy bit coming out here. And then another little bit here. And I'm going to have it go up, and see, I want the cherry to be sitting on top of it, not going in front of it. So I'm going to stop when I get to the edge of the cherry. And then I'm going to keep drawing over to here, make it come to a nice point, come back like this. Then I'm going to start here again. I'm going to do the same thing on this side and draw a couple of spots here. Now I've got this big fat frosting cupcake here, and I'm going to make it looks like it's got a little bit of folds in it, so I'm going to just elongate these little lines in here. Okay, so now that we've got our cupcake drawn, we can maybe decorate our cupcake. So today I'm going to maybe make my cupcake liner have some dots. It's going to have some big polka dots on it. So I'm going to draw some polka dots in here. You could draw some stars, or you could draw these as stripes coming down here, but I'm going to draw some polka dots today to decorate my cupcake bottom here. Okay, I'm going to draw a couple here. There may be some half circles coming off the edge. Yeah, so I've got that done, and now I want some sprinkles on my cupcake. So I'm going to draw some sprinkles, and a sprinkle is really just a long rectangle, and I'm just going to draw them lots of different directions. So I think some going that way, some maybe going straight up and down, and I'm just going to draw as many sprinkles as I want on my cupcake. Going all different directions. Now, if we leave them empty like this, we can make sure that we can paint those later whatever color we would like. Now, the other thing we need to do today is an artist usually signs their work. And since our work is going to be wet at the end with our paint, why don't we go ahead and put our name or our initials on it here, but we need to make sure that we're about 1 inch away from the edge of the paper from top and bottom. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to just put my initials, which are MG. So I'm going to put my initials there, but you can write your whole name out or whichever, but you need to make sure that you have it away from the edge. So now we are going to use our paints and our color mixing that we just learned about to paint our painting. So you can just choose whichever colors you want to paint, and you can use your primary colors of red, yellow, and blue, or you can of course make your orange by mixing red and yellow, your green by mixing blue and yellow, or to make purple or violet by mixing red and blue. So just paint your cupcake as whatever colors you want it to be. Now remember, I want to keep my color below that line. So start with that top line, going all the way across, and then bring your paint down. Now when you start getting close to your cherry or your cupcake, you're going to want to just get right up next to the edge and then pull out so that you can keep your cupcake frosting white, or you could paint your cupcake frosting. I'm going to keep mine white. You could make it a blue frosted cupcake. You can paint it however you would like. Remember, you are the artist. So whichever colors you would like. Just try to remember to keep that you don't paint the cupcake in the background the same colors. Make sure that you keep them colors that are different from each other so they don't get lost in each other. The things that Wayne Thiebaud did was he had strong shadows. So what we can do is decide where we want our shadow. So I'm going to say that my light is coming from over here, and I'm going to put a shadow right here.